What a start to the season, boys. It was so good. It was so exciting and fantastic.
The second game was exciting.
The second game was amazing.
Yeah.
And the first game just kind of reiterated our point that why you can't taking Raiders and Warriors to Vegas. But I can't even blame Raiders because they actually came to throw the footy around and put some points on the board.
Raiders look good, bro.
Raiders did look good.
I'm
not ready to apologise to them yet, but
well, it's only one game.
Warriors, I got a few words for you guys, but before I do that, welcome Christopher, my co-host as always. How you feeling, my friend? Footy is back. No preseason garbage.
Well, the first game looked like preseason, didn't it? The second game was truly how footy should be, with two great sides playing each other, and yeah, it's not the result we were looking for, but it was still a great game of footy.
I think if I owe anybody an apology, it's you for the first game, because the Back Yourself podcast does go 0-2 today, giving out Warriors and Sharks plus 2.5 as far as the best bets goes. I would say my bad on
I don't think you need to apologise.
Warriors, because
Warriors should be apologising to all their fans.
Was not expecting that from these guys, but literally, like, what was the point of giving Warriors 6 months off? They should have just started playing games.
Did they have a preseason?
Because it doesn't look like anything's changed with these inbreds. But anyway, that segues me well into the first game that mattered in the Vegas slate. The Warriors lose 38-8 to the Canberra Raiders.
38?
Yeah, that's really bad, boys. And if anything, the scoreline
could
have actually blown out a little bit more. And if this had gotten to about 48-0, I don't think I would have any bad words to say about that, because the Warriors were absolutely pitiful. And I know this was a game we definitely disagreed on in the pre-Vegas pod that we had. And I came on and banged the drum for Warriors, saying that these cunts are good and Raiders are god-awful. You looked me in the eye and said, no, Raiders are going to win. Warriors, I probably wouldn't spoon candidates. And I want to sit in front of you, Chris, and say that you were right and I was wrong. And you are very smart and I'm very dumb after this game of footy, because took probably 5 years off my life trying to watch.
But it's not just you, mate. It's every single Warriors fan, because I feel bad for all of them, right? More than anything.
No,
because
I feel bad for me.
The Warriors fans, look, in the preseason, everyone was talking about Luke Metcalf, this spine being youthful and really hitting their straps with a great forward pack in front of them. But that spine is, honestly, I don't think you can run out there week 2 with that.
I agree with you.
I think they need changes now. Otherwise, they will come last. Okay. If Webster's just a hard head and he goes, oh, no, I'm going to stick with this as my team, they're literally going to come last.
Okay.
I don't think there's a worse team in the comp right now.
In my opinion, this can go south very quickly for these guys.
100%.
Because we came on and said, look, what's the Warriors' strength, right? They're forwards. They didn't look very strong today. And I know for a fact Fisher Harris and Niakure and Capewell and Barnett, these are good players. You know, you take them out, you give any of these players to Melbourne or Brisbane or Penrith or whatever, they will like make the Dally M bloody team of the year probably. But
agreed.
They looked just directionless.
There was nothing.
Like they had no idea. And look, you can tackle hard and run hard for as long as you like, but at a certain point when points aren't put on the board, we've seen this. The only team that can actually keep trying for 80 minutes without scoring from going off last year is Penrith and Bulldogs. They're the only cunts that, you know what? If we get 5 attacking sets in a row, we don't score, all goods.
All goods. We'll defend.
Come back and we'll try again a 6th time. But these other losers, if they can't score, they just, what do they do? Yeah, fuck it. We'll give these guys a penalty, and then it's all getting too hard. All right, here's our try line. And at the point where I just don't even have the words for this Warriors team of how can you like come off of last year, have this to start your season and run it out with the same 1, 6, 7, and 9 again.
Well,
okay, let's go into detail, right? The 9, you're not changing the 9.
He's fine.
Egan's shown that he's a pretty good player, right?
Correct.
So now, what's your options with the 1, 6, and 7? If you're Andrew Webster, Chris, what are you doing?
All right. Charnsey just needs to be out of the team completely. I wouldn't even put him anywhere. Get him out. Roger will go to fullback, and then when Dallin comes back, you put Dallin there. In the immediate future, you find some winger, like probably have 50 of them in the youth. It doesn't matter. Capewell, he scored on the wing. Halves-wise, I would move Metcalf to 6 and start Tanner Boyd at 7. At least Titans had some direction compared to what the Warriors were running out there. And Metcalf is, I feel like he felt the pressure today. Like, I feel like the whole club is on his shoulders in terms of creating. And Egan is serviceable. He's pretty good in that position.
Yeah,
he's been great, but he won't lead it. And that means it's got to be Metcalf. And he's just not ready for that, right?
Not to be the... Look, is Metcalf good as a supporting ball running 5'8"? Yes.
100%.
Is he a good game managing, a club fucking carrying halfback? No, he doesn't have the skill set for that, right? So that begs the question, okay, we've already, within 20 minutes, acknowledged that Metcalf and Harris Tavita is not going to get you anywhere in this competition, right? And you can't even use the excuse of they're young and they're going to give them time to learn their craft. You can keep them for 10 years.
They're awful.
They'll never do anything together, right? So, in my opinion, and I have liked him in previous years, but Chanel needs to get out of the starting halves.
I agree.
I don't mind putting Metcalf to 6.
Yep.
For the immediate future, I would much prefer Tanner Boyd at halfback as well. I agree with you. Short kicking game, long kicking game. There's some experience for him in terms of, okay, I'm the halfback and I'm expected to do X, Y, and Z. Whereas the Warriors just looked completely out of answers. Not even just that they couldn't score, because that's one thing, but their shape, like... honestly, I would have Sean Johnson knighted in hindsight.
How did he not win Dally M at you?
For taking these losers to the preliminary final. Like, their attack actually looked lethal.
Yeah, I know.
And if anything, like, their outside backs might be better now. They have Roger, they have God knows who, but I don't think in the year they made the prelim, we were sitting here saying, Chanzi needs to be evicted from the NRL. We were like, yeah, Chanzi's okay, right? But in hindsight,
that was
that's
Shauna,
all
right?
just because Shauna was just pulling the strings like an absolute mastermind.
And Fanua Blake was dearly missed. Like,
he can score a try every game.
That forward pack was just not, there was no, like...
Do you have any comments on Fisher Harris so far? Because I know you were saying certain things about him off air. I want to know if you have the confidence to bring this on air.
Look, it's just... There really only has been a few players that have come out of the Penrith system and played better. And I can't see that right now. And it seemed like they missed Fanua Blake. The fact that a lot of people have the conversation of Fisher Harris comparing him to Fanua Blake is ridiculous. I don't even think it's close. I think Fanua Blake is, after today, Cronulla is actually, his impact in those like small scenarios is incredible and can change a game like that. And that's the best forward, maybe best prop in the competition. So, look, Fisher Harris, I don't actually think you even stood up like at any point.
Well,
it's not that he didn't make the meters or he doesn't show, like, you are the captain of this team. You're the captain of the country.
Essentially, yeah.
And today was awful. Awful. I don't care who comes at me. Fisher Harris was poor today. Of course, the whole team didn't play any good, but does it look like Fisher Harris may have just gone for the bag and fucked off everything else? Does look good so far.
1 out of 1, yeah, sure. But, yeah, going forward, like...
Start capable.
I guess, look, we're a punting podcast first and foremost. And you got to think that Warriors are actually favourites to win this match today. So, as far as, like, where they were perceived versus their actual production is just miles apart, right? And
yeah.
I guess the question you ask yourself is, okay, how much do I react to one game, right? And that's your job going forward, because we know the bookies, they're going to be like, okay, look, maybe Warriors were quite poor today. We can move their point spread 1 point, maybe 2 points maximum.
Yep.
Because they're not going to... They have like all this data and analytics and whatever they're using to price these teams going into the season, and they're not going to jump off that from one performance, right? But
of course not.
We are not hamstrung to that extent that we can jump off a team off one performance, and
I'm off them.
You are never on them in the first place.
Correct.
So respect to you, but I don't understand, like, these guys did not play Penrith today. That would make a side look incompetent. They played Raiders. And Raiders, for all they did well with the ball, and I think we can analyse like what Raiders did good and whatever. But
what did Raiders do good?
Raiders gave these guys like opportunity after
opportunity.
Yeah. Dropping the ball and offloading on their own 10-metre line. But at a certain point of like after 20 minutes where Warriors had a couple attacking sets and they just weren't even getting close, I feel like the Raiders players were like, You know what? Like, we can throw the footy around and drop it, and worst case scenario, we'll just like hold them out of off our goal line, and it doesn't even really matter.
100%.
And once the score got to the intercept try really broke the Warriors' backs in terms of 10-6 versus 16-0 is a very different scoreline. But if you played this game again and gave Warriors a 10-0 head start, like, they would still lose to Raiders.
Yeah.
And I still don't think Raiders are that good.
No.
But what Raiders did well, I guess, they came with some game plan to be super expansive, and you live and die with that. Sometimes it works for you, sometimes it doesn't. If that's their plan for the whole season, then I feel like they're going to be a very high variance team. They can spring some big upsets and win some games where they put 40 on the scoreboard. But if you give that quality ball to any competently attacking team that isn't Warriors, I feel like you're also setting yourself up to get fucking pumped in a lot of the games as well. So Raiders are 1-for-1. They were very impressive. They looked great. I probably sold them short. Their attack actually looked pretty decent, I'd say, for the most part. But then again, like, they scored an intercept try. Chansey dropped the ball, gave him another 6 points. And then by then, Warriors had given up. Yeah. So that was pretty much my analysis on this game. It was a shocking game to watch, shocking game to be on Warriors. All the public pretty much pushed Raiders down from 4.5 to 2.5, $2.40 to $2.10. And that was probably going to be one of the
1.5 in some spots.
Probably one of the easiest wins of the season. So shout out to whoever's on the Raiders. Shout out to you, Charles. And fair play to your team. They come back to Australia with a win next to them in the win column. Do you have any comments for the Raiders, sir?
They're not great. They're just better than Warriors. And in the situation, they just dominated, to be honest. They do have something that Warriors don't have and a few teams don't have in the league. They are fast.
Yeah, wow.
The speed is incredible. And an expansive game like that, you get it to the right player and pew, you're gone. So
if you think about Metcalf threw the cutout to Savage, right? And within 1 second, it's over.
Yeah.
But if, I don't know, they threw a cutout to Tua Picky or some shit,
they would have caught him.
They would legit catch him on the 40-meter line.
They are so fast.
Pace to have pace in the back line in this sport. We definitely saw that today. But if you have no other comments for the Raiders, we can segue into your team.
Good job, Raiders. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, fair enough. So the Australian women's team wins 90.
Why?
90-6.
4. She missed it.
4, yeah. Honestly, I'm proud of England for getting on the scoreboard. And that's pretty much
all right, on to the next actual game.
Whoever knows what the pre-game spread was for that Australian game, just let me know in the comments out of curiosity. I would be very curious.
20-something, I heard.
Is that it? They covered that in the first quarter. Anyway, moving on to Sharks of War.
You don't have any thoughts about Wigham?
No.
Okay.
No. Who?
Wigham.
Sure. Isn't that a soccer team?
Yeah, but
moving on to the Sharks of War falling at the might, the power of the Penrith Panthers, who have come in and made a statement to the competition that we will not be defeated under any circumstance. And 22 points for the Sharkies was not enough to win or cover the 2.5. They lose 28-22 to essentially Penrith with maybe 4 players tops running out on this one. Chris, what was your thoughts on your Sharkies falling to the might of Penrith for the 500th game in a row?
For the people that actually punt as soon as this opened, it opened at 6, so you guys would have won today.
You would have pushed.
No, I thought it was 6.5 in some spots.
Maybe for 3 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. But look, Penrith. Anyone else just like sick of this team? I think they just plug in whoever they want and they just win, which is fine because of how good Nathan Cleary is. I think he's on track for a Dahlia medal just off one game, to be honest. Yeah. He seems ready. He seems engaged. There was that period where he went down, everyone was like, oh, shit. And got back up, got a shot on him from in the ribs, which would have been very
fucking
painful for him. But in terms of the actual game, it was a lot of back and forth. First half, I feel like it was the right score at 12-10. Penrith had a lot of ball. Maybe could have had an extra try. Cronulla conceded 2 tries in a row. And old Cronulla, I think a lot of people would have been like, that's it. But it wasn't it. And to be honest, Trindle had a chance on the last tackle to pass the ball and give them the win. They were 2 points away at that point, and they were on the Penrith try line with about 7 minutes left. But they didn't play great. Neither did Penrith, to be honest. I can definitely see both teams playing a lot better. In saying that, I feel like there is more... How do I explain it? There is a bigger void not void. There is more opportunity for Cronulla than there is Penrith. I think Penrith played 70%, but I don't think their 100% will match the Cronulla's 100%. And I'll tell you why. I think that raw talent within these players is actually stupid how talented they are. And I think something like Adam Fanua-Blake, who was absent most of the game, can snap his fingers and literally walk through the middle of the team and put Cronulla on his back and get him back within 2 points. They've never had that in the past. They relied on Nico Hines to make sure he kicks the ball in the right spot and maybe, Penrith do an error, etc. But they have the talent now and they can break games very easily. In saying that, a lot of this game came down to themselves shooting themselves in the foot. Hines off the kickoff. Hines not making touch. Ronaldo punching on with Liam Martin, which fair enough, he did hit him high, sure, but you just don't do that, Ronaldo. And Ashley Klein actually agreed with you because the next one, which was even softer, you gave. And overall, if you take out those errors, Cronulla would have been, if not won this game outright.
Interesting take, sir. I love that you're defending your Sharkies, and an optimist would look at today's game and take a lot out of it and twist it in their own brain of, oh, you know what? If Sharks just did this, if Sharks just did that, Sharks. And I kind of left the game agreeing with you, seeing a lot of the same things, but I'm going to try and be as objective as I possibly can. As someone that backed Cronulla today and lost on them, felt good about being on +2.5 with 5 minutes to go, but you know what? They're just an error, and 2 minutes later, Penrith score some garbage. Sure, whatever. But from my perspective, Cleary was legit out there by himself in the halves.
Yeah.
They could have had Jack Cole just not even on the field.
Statue.
And this guy was playing both sides of the field essentially by himself. So that's first of all. Second of all...
But they're going to have that the whole year.
Well, I have a whole nother take about the whole Blaze.
That's because of Blaze, yeah.
But second of all, Casey McLean goes down within 2 minutes, and you're down a player, right? Because this wasn't foul play. He just unfortunately got his head in an innocuous situation.
But Laurie wouldn't
goes
have
off
come
HIA,
on anyway.
But that's fine. So you're down essentially one interchange player. Laurie's in on an edge with Garner, which neither of these bums are going to be there by the end of the year if there's no other injuries. To'o doesn't even play this game in the first place. And Sharks score first. Ashley Klein comes out doing this and gives 10 penalties to Sharks in a row. And this is where I would be encouraged as a Sharks supporter that you guys didn't get down there that consistently. And there was a stat that none of your back five ran for more than 100 meters, which is very un-Shark-like. But when you did get down there, you did score.
Yeah.
This wasn't we lost 28-6.
No.
You guys put 22 points on the board, right? And possession was not really even until towards the end of the game where, like you said, Chris, Penrith started looking a bit tired and Sharks were knocking on the door. Who knows, maybe if Hamlin Uele crashes over or Trindle puts a grubber into the end zone, maybe they can score the next set or whatever, right? Fact of the matter is, Sharks went down 24-10 and they made it a 2-point game, and Sharks of old probably don't even do that, the losers.
Correct.
But on Penrith's side of things, you literally have one player in your halves because Jack Cole's just out there as a statue. He did nothing with the ball. Didn't essentially do anything. He did a chip and chase on second tackle,
which was really funny.
And these cunts still won. So that's just
Sharks did some dumb things too.
Sharks, but this is the difference of where I will part ways with you. If everything else is equal, would I take the Sharks roster over the Penrith one? I probably would. I probably would. But this is the NRL. And Penrith have not 5-pitted because they had the best roster every year. You know? If it was just who has the best roster, they would have lost to Brisbane 2 years ago. They would have lost to Melbourne last year. And they would probably lose to Melbourne again this year. But these guys just... When they need... things to go their way, it just consistently does. And
it's incredible, isn't it?
You do it for 1 year. How many one-season wonders have we had in this sport? You were just telling me on the car ride in. Cowboys made a prelim, immediately garbage. Souths made a prelim, immediately garbage. Parra made a grand final, immediately garbage. Broncos made the grand final, immediately missed the eight. Souths,
all of them in this era.
Something else altogether as a club at the moment. But what's the one constant we've had in this sport in the past 5 years? Penrith in the grand final.
It's actually giving me a concussion.
I know this, but I'm sorry, mate. You might have to stay concussed for another year because... what did we say on the preview part of this game? They are beatable, sure, but are they past the unbeatable point of when they had Burden and Crichton and Kickow and all these players? Yeah, they are. They can be beaten, but are Sharks specifically the team that I trust in a final setting to not get into a punch-on with Martin and give them 6 points, to not kick out on the full, to find touch, to defend their try line better than to give 30 points to a Penrith team lacking a lot of players? I would say I don't want to put my money on Cronulla in that situation. Did I want to be on them today? Yeah, I did. Because I thought it was a good opportunity. Penrith were missing some troops. And really, if you're not going to get him today, when are you going to get him? And they couldn't even get him today at the end of the day. So could Sharks be better in many ways and have won today's game? Absolutely. They weren't great. And I'm encouraged by the fact that they could put 22 points on the board with not that much ball to their name. But were Penrith very un-Penrith-like for a lot of that game and still came out with a 6-point victory? Yes. So that was a tough watch in the end. Like, to lose on the +2.5, I'd take it again. I think it was the right spread. But going forward, do I have doubts about this Penrith team? Not really. And it seems like that's where we kind of disagree.
I still have doubts. They conceded 22 points. They're not going to score 28 points every game. And this Cronulla team gave them a few of there was 2 tries that they just gave up to them. And not every team is going to do that. And in addition to that, it's a different setting. Vegas, there were times that Ashley Klein was giving a lot of calls. There were times he wasn't. It was kind of on and off.
Do you not think the game being very call-heavy and fast-paced would favour Sharks over Penrith anyway?
Call-heavy?
Yeah, you get a penalty, you get a penalty.
Yeah, of course. But they were, instead of it longing out, of course. Yeah. No. Well, I'm saying long-term for Penrith. I think long-term for Cronulla, they're going to beat all the bums. It's not going to... They have just too much talent. I think that's fine.
If Sharks, who are probably, a 7 out of 10 today, if they dish that up week in, week out, they'll be in the top 4. They'll beat all these other losers.
Easily.
That's not really...
I think there's only 2 teams that can realistically beat them.
Which are?
Melbourne and Penrith.
You don't think Brisbane can beat them?
No. I think Brisbane have a very top-heavy talent, but... Where Cronulla is good is 1 to 13. I don't think their 1 to 13 can beat this Cronulla team right now. I mean, Adam Fanua-Blake already beats Haas. So, in my opinion...
Well, that's probably 15 all.
What do you mean?
Haas and Fanua-Blake. They're comparable.
I'm saying, Fanua-Blake is better than him.
I know, but even if he is, it's not by much.
Arguable.
Is it?
I think by himself, he's insane.
Yeah, I know, but so is Haas. He's no slouch, right?
Does Haas get up for the moments, though? We haven't seen Haas in any of the moments do anything great, in Origin or for Brisbane.
Yeah, I know.
The rest of them could, but...
But that's not he's a front rower, right? Fanua-Blake has a weird, unique ability to just score tries, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Brisbane don't have that.
You're not really basing a team's success over, our front rower can score tries, right? What's Haas's job? Go run for 200 meters and offload a couple times. Does he do it the best? Him and Fanua-Blake, yeah, it's comparable for sure. Is Walsh a game-breaking talent that Kennedy isn't? I would say yes.
I'm not sold on this Brisbane team just yet. I think they're still. I don't think I've got them in my top 4, but I don't think they're going to make noise. Okay. I think there's problems.
Look, we can have the Brisbane discussion some other time. I have my. Are they a little bit overrated off preseason games argument? We'll save that for the preview, but. Your big takeaways from this Sharks game is you think Sharks have a bit more in the tank and over the course of the season they can
Look, you only have to beat this team once. You don't have to beat them now, and I think you can play a lot better. Obviously, they can too, but I think it wasn't a rollover like we've seen in the past. And if you have maybe 10% more possession in their 20-metre line, you probably get 30 on the board. And... that doesn't usually happen for Penrith because their defense is what has touted this for.
Well, I would say half of that was Sharks playing gun and half of that was...
their own stupidity.
No, this game-to-game different interpretation of how to referee games is just a joke.
Well, yeah.
To be honest, Grant Atkins in that first game, you could shoot someone, he wouldn't give a 6 again. And this guy's just calling penalty after penalty after penalty, which if you're betting totals, why would I bet unders on an Ashley Khan game again after today? Or why would I bet overs?
I was on Grant Atkins. But you know when Grant Atkins comes back to Australia, he's going to start giving calls again.
Well, yeah.
Well, actually, the only call I want to dispute, because it didn't make sense to me when we were watching it,
this was
is the flop after the Ronaldo knock-on, which ended up being like Penrith getting the ball.
So where, if anyone can tell me in the comments, I thought they changed this rule that if you intentionally give a penalty away to then be able to challenge the previous play, they changed this a while back so you're not allowed to actually give the penalty. Once the penalty is called, it's like a new set of first down or whatever the fuck you want to call it. There's like a new play now, so you can't then go back and challenge, there was a knock-on before the penalty. But conveniently, they just like, it's Penrith, so they can do it.
And in addition to that, anyone in the comments that watched the game, why couldn't McInnes challenge that strip? Also didn't make sense.
Not saying he would
win it was a loss anyway, but...
He immediate was like, challenge, and Ash Klein's like, no, you can't. So I was like, sure, okay.
I was like...
Great. And that's not being biased to say that Sharks got robbed or whatever, because... There was clear as 40-20 where clearly like...
It was a 40-20.
Kennedy's foot was on the sideline when he batted it back and saved it. And there was a couple other things like...
On the line when Kennedy punched it out, there was also that.
I'm not saying that Sharks like didn't get favoritism in terms of calls. Like I think the calls were garbage both ways. But just like the game-to-game...
change.
How they call 6 agains and penalties is like such a drastic difference that like you're putting our product on display for the rest of the world to see. And for many people, probably in the US or whatever, they watched footy for the first time, and they watched...
And we don't even understand the rules.
And watched Grant Atkins just like not call anything for 80 minutes, which is fine if that's how you're going to officiate every game. But then legit 5 minutes in, Sharks had 4 calls in the first 5 minutes and got 4 points.
Well, they were saying in the commentary that they were like, Penrith are intentionally going 11 metres instead of 10 because they know Ashley Kynes is going to blow the whistle.
So...
if they have to do that, then what are we watching here?
Yeah. Anyway, your biggest takeaway out of the Vegas slate today?
I think Penrith are Penrith. Raiders look good so far, but I think like the biggest take of all is this Warriors team could genuinely come last.
I don't think I learned much, if anything, about Raiders, Sharks, and Penrith today, but I learned a whole lot about Warriors. They're in big trouble, bro.
They're in big trouble.
Holy shit.
Easily, they could come last. I'm sorry, G's. Like, just diabolical performance. Agreed.
And it's not even sometimes, like, you will lose a game or the score will blow out on you because of constant errors, penalties, maybe you cop a sin bin. It's things that you can rectify within a week, right? You go back at training, if you guys even train, the following week and be like, look, boys, keep the discipline up, keep the completions high, and we can be like in games already, right? But what the hell? Like,
this is a fundamental. Like,
you can't go and fundamentally teach Metcalf, Harris, and Chansey how to ball play or position themselves in terms of shape, of how to actually like create overlaps on the side, like side to side, either side, and get quality ball to their outside backs. I can't see that improving.
Well, I think it's like. Tohu Harris not being there was huge.
Yeah, I agree.
They couldn't move the ball at all. And I think he was the point of movement. I mean, that's why I think you can bring Aaron Clark or Dylan Walker into the team. Like, at least, I think their starting pack, it was just...
It's not even a debate. One of them need to go to lock immediately. Like, as soon as D walks and Aaron Clark got on, I was like, look, at least there's some sort of result.
Not that it's going to work, but... Look, I still think they can come last.
When I'm watching the Warriors like shift the ball, I'm like, okay, dummy half to their lock who's going to go out to Harris DeVito, who's then going to give it to Chansey, who's either probably going to take just get tackled or throw some dog shit pass to their winger. And I feel like their opposition is thinking the same thing. There's no like creativity around the ruck. There's no support around the ball. There's no reason to even think that these guys are going to score. So
agreed.
That's very concerning moving forward.
And that's Raiders we're talking about here, bro. That's insane.
Not exactly the Great Wall of China. They are. But to their credit, they aimed up today. But I have my question marks of how much is that just Warriors being incapable of scoring and how much is that actually Raiders are actually like really their defensive structure has improved.
We'll have to see in week 2, I guess.
We'll see, I guess. But Look, me personally, I was not particularly that excited for these two games, knowing that we're going to take Sharks and lose to Penrith for the 500th time. And I have to watch Warriors Raiders, which Warriors, wow. Like, watching you guys for the rest of the year. Like, I know in the 8-game slate of the round, one of them is going to be boring because I have to watch you guys. But I'm very excited to preview the rest of round 1, which we will be dropping probably Wednesday morning after team lists are released. And we've got some beauties, so make sure you
Dragons are playing. They're back.
You can let us know what you guys thought of the Vegas games. Any comments in the comment section, you let them know. I love chatting to you boys as always. And I will chat to you guys in a couple of days' time.
Peace.
Appreciate the support as always. Catch you next time. Go Warriors.